6:51 now, 1320 WILS. Yesterday, big political day for Donald Trump. Obviously, Mark Rubio, the end of his attempt to become the president. Let's break it all down with Debbie Georgatos, political strategist, and you can find her at ladiescanwetalk.org. Debbie, great to have you here.
Mike, thanks for having me. Hello.
And what's I wonder where we should start. Well, first of all, when you look
There are so many things, huh?
I want to get to what Donald Trump said today, but before that, the numbers right now. What's it looking like for on the Republican side for Donald Trump now?
You know, he is, and actually, I will tell you, I don't know if Missouri has yet been called. Within an hour ago, it still hadn't been. But you know, Donald Trump right now, he still needs. He's got 564 delegates. He needs 53% of all remaining delegates in the remaining primaries to get to the magic number of 1237. And, of course, Ted Cruz needs 78%. So, you know, I know people say it's mathematically almost over, but, I mean, it depends on I think it's still not settled, in my view.
Did you call him Don Trump? Is that what I heard?
Oh, I did not mean to if I did.
No, I've never heard that before.
I probably mumbled.
No,
I don't want to.
It kind of sounds cool, actually. Don. You never heard people calling him Don, but that's it's a proper name for him. So here's what Mr. Trump said today when they asked him about what if they get to the convention, it's brokered, and they don't end up choosing him. Here's the threat I would say he put out there.
I think we'll win before getting to the convention, but I can tell you, if we didn't, and if we're 20 votes short, or if we're 100 short, and we're at 1,100 and somebody else is at 500 or 400, because we're way ahead of everybody, I don't think you can say that we don't get it automatically. I think you'd have riots. I think you would have problems like you've never seen before. I think bad things would happen. I really do. I believe that. I wouldn't lead it, but I think bad things would happen.
Yeah, he wouldn't lead it, but bad things would happen. What do you first of all imagine would happen if that were to occur?
I don't like his use of the word riots, but I think the angry GOP voting base that has gotten Donald Trump to where he is and has gotten Senator Cruz to where he is would just see that as the latest in a long list of, and I think genuine grievances that the establishment does not listen to the people. Now, I will say, though, this whole broker convention thing, he used numbers like, what if it's 1,100 and 500? But, there's a reason that there's a rule that you have to get to 1237, 1,237. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get there, it's just a different process. And so, they could have made the rule that a plurality wins. They could have made that rule, but that isn't the rule. So I think if the GOP dared to go in and somehow manipulate all the delegates sufficiently to get someone who never ran in the race, put a Paul Ryan in, there would be great anger in the GOP voting base, and rightfully so.
And right now, if you were to give me a percentage-wise, what's the percentage likelihood that he's the nominee for the Republicans right now?
Oh, how could you ask me that? I think...
Would you say 99% or 50?
I'm going to go surely more likely than not. Yeah. I think there has to be a game-changing event. I have a few in mind, but there has to be a game-changing event, or otherwise there will be a march to Donald Trump getting the nomination.
What is a game-changing event in your mind?
John Kasich gets out, compounded with Ted Cruz coming out and saying, I'd like to announce that I, Ted Cruz, running for the presidency. Here's my person who will be vice president. Here's my Secretary of Defense. So having a team feel, I think it would steal some of the media attention, and it would also cause people to think, oh, I'm seeing a bigger picture, okay, if it's Cruz and Rubio and somebody really well-liked as the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Treasury, sending a signal of the kind of administration you'd see, I think that would be game-changing, and I think something that big has to happen.
On Donald Trump's side, do you see anything changing his momentum, anything that he might say or do that could actually turn people off?
Not among his... I think the people who are wedded to him or just really strongly supporting him, who are just so angry at the establishment, I think there's nothing he could say or do. I think he was right about if he shot someone in New York City on the street, he wouldn't lose supporters. But I still think there are people watching, and some of the polls are showing the people showing up later or deciding later are trending toward Cruz. So I don't think he's going to have a major misstep. But I think there are people in every state where they haven't had a primary still deciding. And so, and he doesn't really ever get above that, whatever the number is. He's got a core of supporters and a lot of people who are leery of him, including a lot of Republicans.
Yeah, 63% unfavorable rating for Trump, 53% unfavorable for Hillary Clinton. How's that going to work out if they're running against each other and everyone hates them?
Well, it's interesting. I think I've said in your show before, but I think that Donald Trump is the most unvetted of all of the candidates in the whole GOP race. He's been on magazine covers in the news, but to really get vetted by the Clinton vetting machine, by their scorched earth style politics, there'll be a lot of ugly stuff. And I think also, in turn, Donald Trump has managed to pretty much eviscerate the field of other GOP primary opponents. He's tough. He hasn't started on Hillary. I think it's going to be just one ugly campaign season. And
he's in fact said, by the way, that wait till I get a hold of Hillary, right? I mean, he said, look what I've done already. How do you see that working out? Do you think he'll be just as effective in disassembling her as he has been with the Republican, those competing with him in the Republican nomination?
The reason he'll have a harder time, I think, is because Hillary has, in the same way that Donald Trump has a core of just almost cult-like, no matter what he says, we love him. Hillary has that, too. Hillary has far leftist. She doesn't get the women's vote as much as she would like, but she's got a core of people supporting her who will never change no matter what is said. And when Donald Trump was doing that, doing his attack mode on all the other GOP primary candidates, not many of them, none of them had the kind of base that she has already. So they were a little easier picking for him.
Will she need to come back at him as aggressively as he's attacking her? Do you see that happening, or will she kind of be quiet about it all?
Oh, I think she'll go after him. I mean, it may not come out of her lips or her mouth, but her team will go after him and all of his there's a long litany of things, the bankruptcies that left people unemployed and left businesses destroyed and hurt people's lives. And I mean, those kind of things. I don't think she's going to go after his however many marriages it is and that kind of stuff, because I don't think she wants the personal issues and her side.
Yeah, Bill Clinton coming out. How vulnerable is she with Bill and what happened with Monica? How much could that end up really coming back when Donald goes after her?
That stuff I actually do not see as problematic because, except for the very young voters who may not have heard all this, America's past that. They've seen it. They know about it. I mean, very young voters might be turned off, but I think the more current things about her role as Secretary of State, what the Clinton Foundation money coming in and favors apparently done, the email server thing, I think you can make, it sounds like a boring scandal, but the email server thing was a big thing. It was putting national security secrets at risk.
Now, one thing about Donald Trump is he's been very vague about a lot of his plans and how he, basically his ideas have been kind of just in general. His speeches, they cover the same ground every time. Can he keep doing that in the general election?
Oh, Mike, I would love to say that somehow he's going to be forced into more specifics. But, they haven't forced it out of him so far, and I don't know why he would. I mean, he seems to be, if you think he's getting hurt by lack of specifics, as someone who's forced to come out with more detail, but I think his Make America Great thing so resonates with so many people.
Seems to work.
I think he might just stroll right along. And this is why people should be scared of him, because no one knows what he will do, in my opinion.
I talked to someone earlier this week. They said they think Hillary will not agree to any debates with Donald Trump because of what she's seen him do so far. Do you think that could actually happen?
Oh, my gosh. I think that would be astonishing. No, actually, I think that would hurt her. Even though she thinks the debates themselves would hurt her, the refusal to debate at all would hurt more, in my view.
Do you think the debates will, in fact, hurt her? Do you think that's where things will get ugly and she'll lose?
I think she will sound shrill and angry. And yeah, I think that I think Don. That's a really interesting question. You're always full of good questions. I love being on your show because you make me think.
Well, I've been trying to imagine this scenario, and I've been even imagining how aggressively he'll go after this woman standing next to him, if it'll turn people off, and what she'll do. But the thought is, do you think she even wants to be on the stage with him?
I think she wouldn't want to, but I just think it's so unprecedented in modern presidential history to just decline to debate the whole time. I guess I don't think she would dare do that. I think she'd be afraid not to. I do think that a man has to be careful, especially a big, bombastic guy like Donald Trump. He has to be careful about not picking on a woman. But, she's tough, and she's going to say stuff, too, and I don't think she's not the petite little figure that you could usually envision people thinking, oh, Donald Trump's picking on that little lady.
Yeah.
So I think he'll pick on her and she'll go after him, and it will just be unpleasant.
One last thing. Is Bill Clinton going to be silenced now? Is he going to become a non-issue in the campaign?
I think that she is better off having him just stay out of the picture. Because on the negative of him, his life story, his conduct, turns people off. She loved to have that off the pages out of the news cycle. And he's no longer attractive or interesting. He's kind of weak looking. He's not exciting. He doesn't excite the crowd.
But with Donald Trump, does he become an especially dangerous person to have supporting her? Because another candidate would never really bring all that up. Do you think with Donald Trump, he's a serious liability, Bill Clinton?
The reason I think Trump, too, might stay away from that, Trump has a lot of his own life story. He wrote in his one of his books about his many affairs with married women. He bragged about them. So I don't think he really wants to go down the moral route with her. I don't think criticizing Bill, because I don't think his life is stellar on those issues, too.
Yeah. Well, it'll be entertainment at the very least. And that's what we're in for. Debbie Georgatos, political strategist, ladiescanwetalk.org. Debbie, thanks.